What's up, Drop Pod listeners? You can check out new episodes of the Drop Podcast every Wednesday wherever you listen to podcasts. You can find all of our content on YouTube at the Drop Golf Podcast and on our socials. That's Instagram and Twitter at the Drop_pod. No matter how you consume us, like, subscribe, rate, review, all that good stuff. Follow and listen along.
This episode is presented by All County Exteriors. Discover the excellence of All County Exteriors, a third generation leader in premier exterior home remodeling, proudly celebrating over 40 years of success. While most remodeling companies last just 5 years, All County Exteriors has withstood the test of time, consistently delivering top quality roofing, siding, windows, and doors. Their expertise extends from small repairs to large additions, serving homeowners and builders alike. More than just a construction company, All County Exteriors is deeply committed to community service, proudly supporting organizations such as the Make a Wish Foundation, the American Cancer Society, Rooster Troops, and Parents of Autistic Children. If you have planned to do any exterior remodeling, call the experts at All County Exteriors for a free, no obligation estimate for your project. Just call 732 370 2780 or email them at info@allcountyonline.com. That's 732 370 2780 for All County Exteriors for all your remodeling needs. This is the Drop Podcast where we talk golfing in the Garden State. I'm Mike Poro, and this is Ryan Coulott.
What's up, Drop Pod people? How you doing this week? Welcome back, episode 81 coming at you. We got a very exciting guest for today. Mike, we had Brian Mahoney on. Brian is the executive director and CEO of the Metropolitan Golf Association. I'll translate that for those that don't understand that. That means that he's the head honcho of the MGA. He's the top dog. It was really really awesome for him to jump on with us. It was a lot of fun. We just had a great conversation with him. We touched about the MGA's schedule. We talked about his golf course rankings. We got deep into a rabbit hole of some habits, some golf course habits that Brian has. And most importantly, some of the new MGA initiatives that they have, including their adaptive program, amongst many other topics. So it was really a great interview. He was so kind to come on, and again, as we say, Mike, just two jamokes like us, to have someone who's a heavy hitter like him in the golf world is really big. So make sure you stay tuned to our interview after the podcast with Brian Mahoney.
And also take a peek at, the Met Golfer puts out 5, magazines a year. Okay. I'm sure a lot of us get it. I'm sure a lot of us read it. There's a little piece in there in the April and May magazine that I'm sure a lot of us will start to get relatively soon here, about podcasts, about different podcasts in the state, in the area, in the Met area, and they're kind enough. We're featured in there. There's a great picture of us, a little quote, and being included with the likes of like Shane Bacon and his podcast, the Loop podcast, the Golf Digest one, Golficity, the Fried Egg, No Laying Up, all these different names that are incorporated in this article in their magazine. And for us to have a picture, right, basically on the cover page in that magazine is another, testament to what I think we're doing is moving everything in the right direction. And when we talk golfing in the Garden State, that's what we're about. That's what we're trying to promote. And it's nice to see a big association like theirs and his, to add us to that article. So, take a peek at that. That'll be out relatively soon.
Yeah, it's a huge. It's an honor, really, to be mentioned in the same breath as those guys, as uh, the No Laying Up, the Fried Egg. Those are the OGs of this of golf podcasting, and Golficity. What they're doing on the YouTube channel. You look at like the Ed Foreplay in as another one. These guys are like high level. They're what we look up to. They're the big fish, and we're barely tadpoles. So to be mentioned in the same breath as them is kind of cool for us. So really, really pretty neat. Let's fast fire the weekly schedule here, Mike. Uh, Last week, I'm going to go back to last week. We dropped our TPI Tuesday finale. Um, that was Tuesday. Wednesday's episode, we talked about it. We had Dr. Mike on. So if you did not watch the finale of TPI Tuesday, go back and watch it. Again, Mike grills Dr. Mike and I in the episode, and it was all kind of all encompassing. We kind of did it as an all in one thing, but that was last week. So my point in saying that is we do not have a TPI Tuesday this Tuesday. So we just had Mike versus North Palm Beach Country Club on Monday. Tuesday we didn't have anything yesterday, so you didn't miss anything. Today, Wednesday, episode 81. Go check us out on YouTube. You got the video version of the podcast there. Tomorrow, Thursday, I got to play Beacon Hill Country Club. I take on the par 4 16th hole there. And then Friday is going to be some clips and some stuff. So nothing really sturdy posted on Friday either. So that's kind of what we got. Kind of a little bit of a recap and preview here of what we got going on this week. So, Mike, anything in the till for you there? Anything schedule wise you want to touch upon?
No, I mean, I think that's it. I'm ready to rock and roll, and I got a couple stories at the top before we dive into the whole gist of the episode. So, if you wanted me to start there, we can.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So listen, I like a lot of times, you know me, I live on the phone and I'm constantly DMing people, texting people, commenting, and whatever the case is on the phone. Well, yesterday afternoon, I had received a text or a DM, however you want to phrase it, some sort of line of communication saying, "You're not going to believe what just happened." And stories like this show us that there are those loyal listeners out there that care, that listen to us, that enjoy what we're doing. And I, as I always say, we greatly appreciate that. But here's how the story goes. This person's playing Avalon Golf Course, Avalon Golf Club, something along the lines down there in South Jersey, way South Jersey. And
That's
they
like Cape
said, "You're
May
not going to
area.
believe." Yeah, yeah, exactly. They said, "You're not going to believe what happened." And so I said, "Let's hear it." So they're out playing Avalon. He's on the 10th hole. He slices one so far right that it lands on the par 3 green on the right hand side. I believe that ends up being the 12th hole. Okay. He slices so far right, they can't find the ball. And they're aimlessly looking around, looking around. And lo and behold, where is the ball? It's in the hole on the par
No.
3.
Stop
And
it.
he asks me, "Does that count as a hole in one?" And I started dying laughing. I said, "That's insane. I don't know if I've ever heard of it." He said, he goes on to say, "Now, thankfully, there was nobody on the green. But could you imagine lining up your putt and a rogue ball comes out of nowhere and ends up in the cup?" I said, "That's absolutely insane. And that'll be a story I'd be sharing on the podcast this week because you talk golfing in the Garden State. He's clearly doing that. He's making hole in ones on holes he's not even playing. Hey, I think that's a skill. That's a skill. Not many people have that skill."
Yeah, that's a pretty good one. Again, I think like you, we're not counting that as a hole in one. But
No, I told him we can't count it. We
can't
can't
count
count
it.
it, but it's a great
But
story.
super impressive.
It's a
Super
great story.
it's a great
Yeah.
story. It really is. Uh I don't know anything about Avalon Golf Club. I just looked it up to see if I could see how far away the tee box to green is, like to see if I can get a course map. And the only thing I could see is that it's not a terribly long course. It tops out at 6,200. From the Reds, it's 4,500. So, um, yeah, I can't see if that's how impressive via a map that is. But again, you hit something wayward. It just goes to show like a hole in one. Everybody asks it. 99% of it is luck. Just it really is. That's all. How many times have you heard someone like, oh, it hit off a tree or it hit the one that I witnessed live. My buddy shanks one like worm burns it up the par 3. It hits a sprinkler head, pops straight up in the air, lands softly on the green, and then trickles into the hole. That's just dumb luck on a bad shot. So you look at how many times something like that happens. It's pretty wild, but not a hole in one. Great story.
Are you looking for the perfect place to tee it up this season? Or just looking for a great spot for casual comfort food? Or how about the most picturesque backdrop for the wedding of your dreams? Then you need to go visit Galloping Hill Golf Course in Kenilworth, New Jersey, conveniently located in Union County, right off exit 138 on the Garden State Parkway. Galloping Hill encompasses over more than 270 beautiful acres. It was again ranked in the top 10 of best public golf courses in New Jersey. Galloping Hill also offers a top 50 in the country learning center with 52 stalls and a 45,000 square foot practice area. In addition to a 9-hole course that is ranked in the top 10 of short courses in the entire country, Galloping Hill is more than just golf. The Hill Tavern Bar and Grill is a gastro pub with seasonal food and beer options updated regularly with amazing views of the course. Hosting over 100 golf outings and over 400 social events per year, their catering team consistently wins awards each year from the Knot and the Wedding Wire. Schedule a tour for your special event at the clubhouse at gallopinghill.com. It's all happening this year at Galloping Hill Golf Course.
We did the Masters recap last week, Mike. Did you see the Masters ratings? I'm sure
Not
you
good.
did. No, not good at all. They were down 20% from previous year.
Yeah,
Any
from last year.
any idea, like, what are your thoughts on why that might be? Because I have some idea. I don't. I love the Masters. I get geeked out for the Masters every single year. It's the one day that I hope for rain around here, so I can justify laying on my couch for 9 hours and watching golf. But I, I don't think it had the general excitement that others have had in the past. Scotty's playing so good, and just kind of ran away with it. There was really no excitement ever. What was that? The eighth hole that he hit, ninth hole, he hit one really close. Just never. From there, he just seemed to close the door, and he never made a mistake, never wavered, and again, I think it lacked excitement. I think you couple that with people being a little angry at the state of golf and the division between Live and the PGA Tour, that I think it's lost some. I think it's lost some people, and I know that Rory's talked about that. John Rahm has talked about that. You know, there's definitely talk about that out there. So I honestly, I think it's those two reasons that the Masters was down. I don't know if you have. What are your thoughts on that? You think the same thing?
Yeah, I think it's hard to really like kind of see the why in terms of the ratings being down because it was a loaded named leaderboard. You had guys on there that we all know that we all have heard. Um
Mm-hmm.
and I
And
don't know.
potential for
I
excitement,
mean
right? I just don't think it was the most exciting one.
yeah, but I guess when you're saying exciting, the exciting is a vague term because maybe like down the stretch 16, 17, 18 it wasn't like when you think back to the tournament, the excitement really took place on 11. When Morikawa dumps it in the drink on 11, makes double bogey. Ludwig
Right, but
dumps it in the drink on 11, makes double.
mhm.
So excitement happened
I
early,
don't think that's exciting though.
but I think that's the drama. Like that's where Scotty, if you then look at that point on from 11 on, Scotty ends up making bogey, and then he just goes on to then dominate the back nine. Birdies, what does he birdie? 13. He birdies 14. He birdies 16, something along those lines. And then from that point on, it was over. So
Yeah.
the drama took place earlier. I don't know. I think ultimately, I don't know if golf is just oversaturated and people are just sick of it. But right now, that was a very disappointing thing. I will say this though about the ratings on Thursday and Friday,
Oversaturated was
ESPN.
the word I was looking for.
Yeah, on Thursday and Friday, the ratings on ESPN were up. They were up. And you know why they were up? Eldrick Woods was playing
Because
pretty
they
good
were on
golf.
ESPN?
Because Eldrick Woods was playing pretty good golf. And that's why they were up. Now, I'm not saying that he's the needle mover, but I think we all know he is the needle mover. Nonetheless, I don't know
Right.
why. I don't. It's hard to say. I think maybe some point the PGA Tour needs to take like a little bit of a break. I don't know. Playing every single week, maybe it's a lot of golf and people are just sick of playing it. But If the Masters is down and the one Sunday that we all look forward to playing, that is not a good sign. But I think if you look at the ratings throughout the whole year, they are all at this number, basically a 20% decline, comparatively speaking. So I don't have the answer to that, but I was not one of those 20% not watching because I was glued just like everybody else that's a golf nerd like me. So I don't have the answer to that.
Right, I know we both had it on TV and on our phone, so it's not us that had it. I think you said it correctly. I think the oversaturation of the news of it. I don't necessarily think oversaturation of golf itself, because yes, it's on every week, but nobody watches it week in and week out. Or there's a small majority that watch it week in and week out. Um, I know you and I aren't even paying deep attention to the the weekly happenings on the PGA Tour, um, let alone like the average American. But I do think that they are oversaturated with like the live PGA Tour news, and that might be it. Because we did have guys on the leaderboard. Uh, it's not like you can't argue that like, oh, the field's not good. You still got Brooks, still got Rom, you still had DJ, you still have all those guys were still in it. As you said, Tiger was in it, Phil was in it, so the names are still there. It just seemed to, again, I think that oversaturation, the news, like I said, and you said the phrase nicely, and then also yeah, again, the lack of excitement when I mean someone hitting it in the drink. I don't want to make it seem like Scotty, like those people lost the Masters. Scotty didn't win it, kind of thing. But the excitement of like, let's see if they can put a shot together and get in there and tie. Like, even if someone had birdied 16 or 17, they're still 3 shots back. It wasn't that kind of exciting. That's kind of more what I meant by it. But yeah, it is, and again, the PGA Tour and Live, they've talked about this merging, and at some point it's going to happen. But until it does, I think this is where we're going to be sitting in this like purgatory of golf is down, people are a little dissatisfied or discouraged with professional golf, and that's where we are.
Yep, I agree.
Let's stay on tour for a second, Mike, and let's talk about Morgan Hoffman on the Corn Ferry Tour. Leading after round one, uh, he is looks like he's back. Like he is playing some great golf. Um, I know you got to talk to him a little bit. What did Morgan have to share with you?
Yeah, so I think a few weeks ago when I was down in Florida, I did just shoot him a text to say, like, hey, I'm in the area, no idea, like, I don't know, let me just throw this out there. Who the hell knows? And he was gearing up, playing a tournament in Georgia, and then after, I said best of luck, and I know it didn't go too well down there, and then I saw his name after up on the leaderboard after 2 rounds, um, and I shot him a quick text and just said, hey, listen, keep killing it. You're playing good golf. Good things happen to good people, more or less. And he said, and he texted me back, which is kind of crazy again, that two little guys like us are getting texts from this dude who's big time, who has an amazing podcast, that does amazing things down in Costa Rica, that is really, transcendent in terms of what he's overcome. Um, he's texted me back and said, I'm playing good golf. I feel good about my game right now. And like, who knows? So yeah, I'm excited. I would love to see him get back on the PGA Tour and play with his boys out there that he knows all too well. And listen, when you're the co-founder of one of my favorite brands out there, I'm going to support you just like I do Mr. Tiger Woods to the day I die. So Morgan Hoffman and Grayson in my grave if I need to.
Do you plan on getting buried in a Grayson polo?
No, but listen, maybe I try not to think about death if that's not
Polo with a little sports coat over it.
if that's like it's not really on my to-do list. I got a lot of things on my to-do list I got to check off, but what I'm wearing when I die is currently not on there. So if it gets on there, or if this podcast gets to that point, I'll let you know. As of right now,
Okay.
no. But Grayson in the grave doesn't sound too bad.
No, it doesn't. Yeah, just so good to see him back. It I don't want to say it took a little bit, but when we had him on, we talked about him gearing up, and then golf is hard. Tournaments are different than gearing up and playing with even if you're playing a big money game with people who you don't know, it still doesn't show a tournament environment. So good to see him rising to the top, and hopefully he can keep it rolling. And like you said, got a podcast that is absolutely killing it as well. So good for Morgan. Keep it up, bud. We're rooting for you. One of our Jersey guys. Staying on the Corn Ferry Tour, Mike. Does the name Miles Russell ring a bell to you?
Well, listen, does it ring a bell? I've heard the name prior to today. I have. Like being the nerd I am and looking at all these different rankings from Wagger to the AGAGA to all these different things, you hear about it. And when you live in the world that like you're on your phone all the time, you see different names pop up and you go down the rabbit hole just like everybody else, I'm sure does. So I knew the name. I knew he was a lefty. I didn't realize he was this good. But for my man to go out and go 68, 66 in the first two rounds of the Corn Ferry Tour, not only at 15, playing his first ever Corn Ferry Tour event, but to make
Right.
the
Hold on.
cut.
You just buried the lead there. This is a lefty AJGA member who is 15 years old. Dude is a freshman in high school, and he's making the Corn Ferry Tour. Maybe a sophomore in high school. He's making the Corn Ferry Tour event. This is incredible. I cannot believe that someone of his age is able to do that. Charlie couldn't do that. Same age as Charlie. Charlie Woods, that
Yeah,
is. And Charlie
yeah,
shot
I
80,
know.
what was it, 84 in that like this is
Different.
so
It's different. It's
unbelievable for
different.
so
It's different. Charlie was trying to qualify for a PGA Tour event. This is a Corn Ferry Tour event. So I'm not saying the golf is harder or better, but it is when you're talking minor leagues and major leagues. Not to say that these guys in the Corn Ferry Tour aren't good enough to go play there, but to your point, it is a little different. But
okay.
to make your point, this kid is number one in the AJGA rankings. Charlie Woods is not ranked. Okay. He has, to my knowledge, I don't even think he's played one AJG event yet, which is kind of awkward. But I think this
Mhm.
goes to the point that in the world we live in today, these kids have all the necessary resources to be very good at whatever you want to be good at if you apply them the right way. He's got the launch monitors. He's got the swing tools. He's got the coaches. He's got the resources at his fingertips that when you want to do something in today's world, you can do it. When we grew up, we didn't have that. We didn't have the luxury to do all these things. They frankly weren't even there,
No.
even if we could afford it. And I understand that golf can be a very expensive sport. But I think, again, when you think big picture here, if a kid in today's world wants to find something out, wants to learn how to do something, you simply and frankly could go to YouTube and type in how to whatever, and you would figure it out step by step. So, to Miles's credit, he simply has applied it. He's dove deep into everything of it, and he is a very, very good golfer. And it's going to be scary to see what this young kid can do as he gets older.
Absolutely. I remember a coach telling me when I was in high school, he's like, there's thousands of kids who haven't even, I was a basketball player, said there's thousands of kids who haven't touched a basketball yet that are going to be better basketball players than you. And you think, like, how many kids, like, I don't know if that's happening in the world of golf, but at some point, like, maybe that can't be true. I guess is my point for him. Like, at 15 years old to be shooting 68 on a Corn Ferry Tour event, this kid has arrived, and you got to imagine has a bright future. Now, at 15, you know, has he found things that have sunk other people and their bright futures? Probably not yet. He probably hasn't dabbled into any of those, yet. He's probably been all golf. Probably hasn't found like Doesn't look at
Eh,
girls yet, doesn't look at parties yet, doesn't do any of that kind of stuff yet. So
it
at
hasn't
some
found
point,
bad
does it
decisions.
right, exactly. hasn't found any of that stuff. So at some point, does it change? Maybe. But you look at like stories about John Daly, that John Daly was 17 with the same swing, and then all of a sudden found cigarettes and Budweiser and or Miller Lights, and there you go. Didn't really practice, but was an absolute stud growing up. You hope that doesn't happen to this kid, but you got to think that his future on the professional golf levels is going to be there because that
100%.
is super impressive. Let's come back to Jersey, Mike, and let's talk about some of the qualifiers that have happened for some of the NJGA events that are out there. I know. I guess let's start with you. We'll start at the top there. Austin and you qualified for the New Jersey Four Ball at Hollywood. Congratulations, bud. I said it out there. I know I know Austin was not feeling great, coming off being sick for a few days. I know your swing, and we talked about you not playing a ton of rounds or being in a place that you want to be yet. Um, really proud of you guys. You guys did awesome work to kind of hunker down and be. I think you were one under through 11, 12, 13, like that, and to be like, dude, we need to get four coming in, and not only to get four but get five coming in was super impressive. So can you want tell us a little bit about your round there, because it was awesome to see. It really was.
Yeah, so I mean, listen, I try to preface this in the best way I can is, getting up to Galloping Hill for the first time. I've never been up there. Right there off the Parkway. Um, you see this monstrous clubhouse and building there, and you finally get to experience it. Unfortunately, we didn't get to play the real golf course. They had just aerated a few days of, maybe a week prior, so the back nine was completely shut off and it was unavailable. So the way the tournament was worked out is you're going to play the normal front nine and then their learning nine, which is kind of like their short course there. Um, so it was different. There were still some aeration holes that were growing, and I mean, I really don't know what a lot of people expect in the month of April because in New Jersey, it's not like we have ideal weather. Okay, it's not always going to be a perfect scenario. It's not always going to be perfect situations. This is not June, July, and August. Now, had it been and those conditions were what they were, you could argue some things, but this is when the courses are getting ready for the season. It just so happens for us in New Jersey, like this is kind of what you get sometimes. So yes, were the greens aerated? Yes. Were they bumpy at times? Yes. But I don't know what else most people would expect. And I think if you expect otherwise, you're kind of lying to yourself. So the course was not in the best condition it possibly can be. I'd like to get back up there to see it in full bloom, more or less, because when you sit atop the third hole there on the front nine, you can see basically everything. It's an amazing view. Um, it's really, really cool. It's a lot of ups, it's a lot of downs. Um, I sure as hell got my steps in that day. Um, but
It
of
looks like that. It looks like there's a lot of elevation change there in an area that like is it's not like we're it's not like that area of New Jersey's deep in the mountains. But it
yeah,
it does from the Parkway. It looks like there's you're teeing off to a low area, your second shots to an elevated green. It does look like that.
yeah. So I mean, when about the round, I mean, listen, I mean, let's just go through the first 13 holes. Austin and I did not play well. I did not make a birdie the first 13 holes. Um, And we were one under after, no, excuse me, we were even par after nine. And we're like, all right, dude, we didn't take this ride up here to not make this tournament. Like we've got to figure this out. And more so, it's like, I need Austin to figure it out because he's the horse here and I'm just a guy just riding along. And if I can help you, I'll do my best. But not for nothing. I'm scrambling making pars, and that does nothing in a four ball event. You need to make birdies, you need to fire pins, and I'm either chunking them from 40 yards into the bunker or I'm blasting them over the green from 40 yards, and making a par does nothing for us. So we get to the 13th hole and it's a par.
Right, but
Excuse
Mike,
me.
if I can interrupt you, isn't that part of the team aspect? If you can go out and shoot par, you're going to be pars every time. Let Austin fire at pins. Let him try to go. If he doesn't go birdie, he goes bogey because he tried firing at something that wasn't able to hold the green or something. You still got par. Isn't that a little bit of like? Is that
Yeah.
the rat-a-tat-tat, like the back and forth there?
Yeah, pending my balls on the green and not chipping to get up and down for par. So that I think that's had I give myself a chance, it's like, all right, at least you're tapping in for par and I have a go. I'm putting like
Right.
a 7-footer for par. He's got like a 25-footer for birdie. So even if I go
Gotcha.
first or second, whichever the golfer prefers, it really doesn't help. It's more like, all right, I wish we were both on the green, 15 footers, being able to roll the putt in. If someone gets it close, so be it. So whatever the case is, it was more of a scrambling par for me than it was like, all right, on the green 2-putt, because I slapped it around for the first 13 holes. But then, we get to the 14th tee, we're 1 under. We're like, all right, dude, we're looking at the board and everybody's at -5. So we know we got to get 4 birdies in the next 5 holes to get it done. So we get to the 14th hole. He stiffs it to about 7 feet. He makes the putt. I'm like, all right, that's one. We get to the next hole. So we're 2 under. We get to 15. I make a putt like 25 feet, dead center. We get to 3 under. Like, all right, let's keep
Let's
this
go.
train going downhill. Let's go.
Keep
we
on
get
chugging.
we get to 16, par 3. He hits it to about, I don't know, 3 feet. We make the putt again. I say we as if I did it. I had nothing to do with it. He makes the putt. We go to 17.
Moral support.
We go to 17. He hits it to about 6 feet. He's got a little left to right breaker. I'm just sitting there just like, come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy. Bam. Knocks it in. Birdie 17. We're now at 5 under. We're like, all right, dude. We looked at the leaderboard. 5 under. It's either 5 under and you get in, 4 you're out. So 17's a par 3. It's about 100.
Because there was like 5. There was already 5 groups at 5 under, right?
Yeah. So there was 4 groups at 5 under already. We were the 5th one. Okay. So we knew we had to make a par at worst on 18. The 18th hole is like a 168-yard par 3 with a huge tree on the right-hand side. We have the honor, so we're teeing off first. The wind's it's kind of like right to left wind, but it's cold. It's starting to rain. And I said, Austin, I'm just going to hit like 8-iron to the front of the green. He's like, you can't hit 8-iron. You got to hit 7-iron. I'm like, well, okay, I'll hit 7-iron. My concern is this tree's here on the right. I don't hit it necessarily super high. I can't hit a cut to save my life. Otherwise, it'll end up in the parking lot on the right there on the learning 9. He's like, just hit 7-iron and try to get it up. Okay. Well, lo and behold, I stiffed the damn thing to like 3 feet. Best golf shot I probably hit all day. And he
hit it over the tree, or did you miss the tree?
High draw right over the tree.
There you go.
As if you would have watched it like, wow, he planned that. I don't know if I planned it that close, but it worked out. Lands at 3 feet. And then from that point on, we're walking up to the green, and he says, listen, now we have a chance to be medalists. You got to make the putt. Like, you got to make the putt. Now, we can actually be the medalist at this thing. So, like anything, I can't lie. My hands are nervous as hell. I am not a good putter. Roll the thing in, dead center, make it 2 right in front of everybody. Kevin Purcell's out there. The NJSGA's out there. Like, make the birdie putt. We go from being out of contention the last 5 holes to going birdie coming in and becoming medalists at the event. Finished at -6. I don't think either one of us played particularly well. Now, I know people may say, well, how can you say that? It was a par 69. Austin was 6. I think they said Austin was like 66 something, 65, 66. So he's like 2 or 3 under on his own ball. And I was 73, I think, on my ball, which was like 4 over. But I think if you watched the round, you would have not have said that these guys played good golf. But it's like one of those things, like sometimes you just have that feeling that like, all right, we didn't come up here. We didn't get this far to do all these things. Let's figure it out. And when you have a horse like him, a lot of the pressure's off me. And I'm sure at times he's saying to me, get your act together. Let's go. But I can't lie. In the middle of the round, I'm texting my wife. I am embarrassing. This is awful. I need to come home. In the middle of the round, I'm texting her saying that. And she's just, I come home and then she says, how'd you do? I have to tell her that we medaled. And she's like, here we go. The big bad wolf is crying again. He wins, but he's crying to me in the middle of the round that he stinks. But
the earth was crumbling 2 hours ago. And now,
now we're setting the world on fire. But listen, it was an unbelievable run. I can't thank everybody that texted and DM'd us, like, watching Austin do what he did, dude, I can't even sit there and say, like, when he had a 6-footer for birdie, I don't know if I would have even sniffed the hole. The dude is center cutting him. It was a pleasure to watch. I joked around afterwards with the NJSGA. It was like, I was glad I could contribute. I was glad I made 2 birdies in the final 5 holes just to help him. But it was something else. He's so good. I'm super pumped that we get to go experience Hollywood on May 7th. And then we got to finish in the top 16 there on the stroke play round to see if we get to match play. So I guess I got a lot of work to do in such a short amount of time to get my rear end in shape. That's for certain.
The good news is your draw on the first 6, 7, 9, 10, 11. You can hit your draw is not going to be impeded for quite some time, if ever, on your swing
Yeah,
there at
if I hit
Hollywood.
it,
So
if
y-
I hit it.
if it, well, we know you're not hitting cuts, so you'll be all right. Yeah. So congratulations. That was awesome to see. I was following around as we right around when you guys made the turn is when I started following. And it was a lot of fun to see. It was really cool from my end. So I'm looking at it. I'm trying to refresh Golf Genius, trying to refresh it. I was like, okay, they've been on the 17th hole now for about 45 minutes. What's going on? And then all of a sudden, I get a text message from Mike who goes, "We won, medalist." I was like, What is going on?" It was a lot of fun to see. So again, congrats to you and Austin. We also want to shout out a couple other people that played at Galloping Hill with you. Um, you're going to have to help me with the name, Mike. Pat Wilson, our guy Pat. Obviously, I can say that name. How does Mark say his last name?
I don't know. I was going to say his partner,
Okay.
Mark.
Okay. We'll go with his partner, Mark. Congrats to you guys. And then Lance and his partner, Ed Walsh, congratulations to you guys, too. Again, some Pat's a former guest. We got some friends of the show there. Um, so great job, guys. Congrats on moving on. And you're going to Hollywood. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, listen, and you got to,
It's exciting stuff.
you got to give a little shout out to the guys that played last Monday, at Sun Eagles. We had a couple guys on there, former guests and things.
Yeah. I was getting to those guys.
Yep. I beat you to the
So
punch.
Sun, you did. Sun Eagles. We've talked about it, Mike. They did end up going fully private this year. I don't think we've given an update on that. So cool to see that they still host the event. But my guy Anthony Campanile and his partner Brian Hart, um, just two guys who are absolutely studs. Again, when I went to deal and played with Anthony, it was really impressive for him to shoot 3 under. And like, I didn't play well, and just watching him get around was awesome. Your guy Mike Stamberger and his son Jack, little father son duo qualifying. Ethan and Jerry Wall qualifying at Sun Eagles as well. That's exciting. And Corey Brigham and his partner Keith Ryan
Our
uh,
first ever
is
guest.
awesome as
Our
well.
first ever
Our
guest.
first our
Corey
first
Brigham.
guest ever was Corey. Yep. And just it was cool to meet him in person last year. We had him on. We've kind of messaged him a little bit, but when I went to the New Jersey Open at Manasquan last year, it was cool to see and meet Corey. And I know Keith a little bit, so it's nice to see some familiar names in there. So happy for you guys. Again, we got a big May 7th at Hollywood's going to be a loaded field. We still have more qualifiers, Mike.
Yeah,
There's
we
still
got
2 more, I believe.
so obviously today is Wednesday. Okay. So we're not going to be able to spit out the results of what happened. And I do believe there was one on this Wednesday at, let me pull it up, make sure I say this correct, because I don't want to butcher this right now.
That's fine.
So there was one qualifier on Monday the 22nd. Okay. I know this is coming out the 24th, but we're recording earlier than that. So we'll miss the the qualifiers at Stanton Ridge that you and I got to play. a while back,
Oh
way
yeah,
back when we started. So that's where this one
yeah.
is.
Episode
And then
7, maybe. It was
yeah, it
early.
was early on. And then the final qualifier is April 29th at the Legacy Club at Woodcrest in Cherry Hill. So there's a couple more. April 29th being the last one. So yeah, on top of the people that are already exempt into it. So like anything, the field's going to be loaded. May 7th, you're going to have a game sharpened, ready to go, because getting into the top 16 is not easy. Okay. Um, and
No.
hopefully, this old man can lug his bag around a little bit and figure a way out to piece the puzzle together.
Hey, you got to be in it to win it, right? And you're in it, so go win it.
Wouldn't that be something? I mean, I know this is like a pipe dream, and I know this is like when you think like big picture, like let's not get ahead of yourselves. Let's go. Everybody says one step at a time, one day at a time. Like I get all that, but I think at the end of the day, we all like to sit back sometimes and be like, imagine, just imagine. Imagine if you're the one at the very end holding the trophy up. Can you imagine if that
Right?
actually happened?
That'd
Bruh,
be amazing. That'd
bruh.
be
You
incredible.
want to, I don't even know what
Incredible.
to say. I'd come on that podcast high as hell.
From excitement, not from cigweed.
From both. From both.
uh, that would be absolutely incredible. And Micah, I'll say this: I think you got the formula. I really do. I know you talk about, and I jokingly have on our sheet, Austin Devereaux and his deadbeat partner Mike Poro, but you can play golf. I know you like to downplay yourself a little bit, but I've seen you play really good golf. You can put it together. It is in there, and you have an absolute horse as a partner. And that's not saying that guys like Anthony and Brian Hart. It's not saying that they're not good golfers, but Austin can put it together and can go very streaky. You can get it together and go very streaky. Honestly, you might not be the most consistent duo that there is between who's playing, but man, your ceiling is super high. And if you can put it together and you guys can get streaky and get hot, you guys are as good as anybody in the field. You really are. And I don't think that that's a pipe dream, yes, but I don't think it's an unrealistic, totally out of the realm possibility. Me winning it, yes, out of the realm of possibility. You, not so much. So I totally could see that. Again, we got to get hot. There's got to be, things got to fall in your favor. But man, it's you guys can play as good a golf as anybody in the field.
Listen, the Drop Podcast golf bag will be out there. I'm hoping to have the polo. I'm rocking the polo when I'm out there. Listen, I'm out in full force. It's out there. Nothing would be better to be hanging a little trophy next to that bag. So,
100%.
time will tell. I guess this means I
Yeah.
need to go practice.
Mike, before we end this thing, let's give a big shout out to Max Graserman, making the cut at the Punta Cana Championship. Again, we've talked about making cuts, cashing checks, and just continuing to grind away. So, Max, congratulations. Keep it rolling, bud. We're rooting for you. And again, we're going to have you on at some point when the schedules work here for you. So great job. Congrats. Keep it rolling. Mike, you got anything before we close out here?
No, that's it. Listen, again, keep posting those scores. I'm taking peeks at what's going on for everybody in the app, and if they want to, click and follow us and make us a favorite on the Gin app, you can gladly do that. You can see what we're doing. You can see when we're playing. You can see when we're posting. And like I do, you keep an eye on the big fella to make sure those scores are going in and the handicap's going in the right direction, not the wrong one.
Mike continues to have. If I tell him I'm playing at 1:00, at 5:00 there is a text, maybe even scheduled, to be quite honest with you, because he thinks golf played in 4 hours. And what did you shoot? Is the text?
If it's not played in
hi,
4
how
hours,
are you?
we have
Not
a problem. We have a problem if it's not played in 4 hours.
I could be walking down 18 still, but it's not hi, how are you? Hey, how's your day going? Man, the weather looks good for your round today. No, not that. What'd you shoot? That's all he cares about. It's very hurtful. It's very hurtful. Butter me up a little bit. I'm not just some golf whore for you to get what my score is, right? Be nice to me. But
Sometimes the
yeah,
truth
follow
hurts.
along. Usually it's not a good number, so I'd like a little buttering up first.
How
You'll
get your
know
rear
in
end
the
in
round if
gear.
I'm hitting well.
Get your rear end in gear.
um, so that's gonna be it for Mike and I. We're gonna send you now to our interview we did with the CEO of the MGA, Brian Mahoney. Again, the head honcho of the Met area. Huge guest for us. Big shout out to him for coming on. So here's our interview with Brian Mahoney. Enjoy.
George Wall Ford in Red Bank, New Jersey is family owned and operated, proudly serving New Jersey residents with superior customer service since 1960. Rye, share your story about your experience there.
Mike, I went on a tangent in one of our episodes previously about it, but I can't say enough good things about George Wall Ford. I needed a new car. I had an old. I loved the brand that I had. I loved, it was an SUV, but had 165,000 miles on it. It was just time, So I hopped on over to George Wall Ford. I saw our guy Jerry, and Jerry and his team were awesome. I mean, from stem to stern, they're there. They're helping. They're knowledgeable. They have so many cars on the lot that you can go in and say, hey, I want a sunroof, a navigation. I want this kind of rims on it. I want this kind of this, that, and the other thing. There's a great chance that they have that car with all your specs, the color, all that thing. Me, I didn't particularly care. I was like, hey, I want to be high up in the car, right? I need an SUV. I'm a big guy. I got a dog. I got golf clubs. I got beach chairs in the summer. I need something that's a little more rugged, a little more. Again, I like to be higher in my car. And I went and saw Jerry. He pointed me in the right direction. And again, it's awesome to have that kind of help and support from your salesman to the finance guy to even they got somebody who helps you set up your car, right? I got an app on my phone now that's got my auto start on it. I can locate my car if I don't know where it is. I could take a trip to Japan if I wanted to and be like, did I lock my car? And I can go into the app and lock my car. So even people helping you set up that stuff, just the hands-on approach over there is incredible. So if you need a car, head on over to George Wall. And go ask for Jerry. They were awesome there. Again, stem to stern from everybody. I can't say enough good things about it. It was an unbelievable experience.
So to Ryan's point, there isn't a better place to shop for a brand new car. Just call 732-704-1932 and ask for Jeremy Wall. George Wall Ford in Red Bank for all your car buying needs.
What's up, guys? Ryan from the Drop Podcast. Just jumping back on with our schedules. Mike and I had to record early this week, and we recorded before the finale of Sunday's RBC and the Chevron for the LPGA Tour. So we wanted to jump on and just give a quick shout out to Scotty Scheffler on an absolute tear. 4 of his last 5 tournaments he's won. We're talking a major in there, and he's just going to continue to keep rolling, as it would seem, for the foreseeable future. We'll get into this more, I'm sure, in upcoming episodes, but I mean, we really haven't seen a tear like this since Tiger. And for those that remember it well, the early 2000s, even getting into 2007, Tiger was just, you felt like nobody else was winning a tournament, and that's kind of how you feel now. Like, who's playing for second place is really what you feel like with what Scotty's going on here. So huge shout out to Scotty and his team there. They're doing unbelievable stuff, winning the Masters, then coming back, winning an elevated event at the RBC, another elevated event for sure, but it's got all the best players on tour that are there. So that's quite an accomplishment to go back-to-back weeks. And again, he's won 4 out of his last 5 starts, not to be outdone by Nelly Korda, who is just feasting on the LPGA Tour. She's the 3rd woman ever to win 5 in a row. She won the Chevron this weekend, which is one of the LPGA majors, just on an absolute tear. And to do it the way she's done it is she won a tournament. She took 7 weeks off and then she's won 4 more. So she's won her last 5 starts. And again, she's the third woman to do that. Annika Sorenstam and Nancy Lopez are the only other two to ever to win 5 in a row. So next time she plays, she'll be going for 6, and let's see if she can get the record. But just incredible, an incredible scene there for on the women's side there at the Chevron was just really, really cool to watch. And I personally watched more of the LPGA event than I did the PGA Tour event. So I got to watch a bunch of Nelly coming down the stretch, and she looked flawless on her front 9. Then you got to like 11, and you could definitely see that there was like some, is she going to be able to do it? Is she going to? But she was able to hold off her Brooke Henderson and some of the others that were trying to get the crown from her. And again, just absolutely incredible stuff that these two are doing right now in the game of golf. I don't know if we've ever seen dominance like this from both sides. Maybe you go early 2000s. I don't know if it lines up, but you're looking at maybe Tiger and Annika Sorenstam, maybe if those do line up. But really quite dominant that we have here going on, and hopefully it continues, because dominance is a lot of fun to see. And the stat that I did want to throw out there, the difference between Scotty Scheffler, the number 1 player in the world, and Rory McIlroy, the number 2 player in the world, is a greater distance between Rory, number 2 player in the world, and Tiger, number 700 and something, 68 maybe, 68 player in the world. That is the greater differences between 1 and 2, not 2 and 700. So again, far and away playing the best golf, which is just wild. And what Nelly Cord is doing there, again, 5 in a row, and she's going to keep rolling as well. I don't know what her next start is, but you got to think she's a favorite in there too. And just, again, she's 25, 27 years old, just absolutely, the futures are so bright for these two. It's absolutely incredible. So while we did end prior to that, we did want to throw it in and just make a little side note. Now to our interview with Brian Mahoney. Enjoy.
So today's guest is a special one here. We got the executive director slash CEO of the MGA. Brian Mahoney is today's guest. Brian, thank you so much for coming on today's show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Happy to be here.
Oh, we're happy to have you.
Yeah, listen, we're kind of excited to get someone like you on that kind of runs a big time association, because a lot of like what Ryan and I try to focus on heavily is golfing in the Garden State, and what better time to get someone like yourself on with all the events about to start happening, the qualifying events, and obviously when you're talking about the MGA and the golfers that we have in this area, I say this all the time. I think they truly are second to none. But before we get into the MGA and what goes on there, why don't you give the audience a little bit of background about you, like how you started, how you got to where you are today, and a little bit about your journey.
Yeah, happy to. It's a story of lots of good luck and good fortune for sure. So, real simply, my father was from Yonkers, New York. Mother from San Francisco, California. They met at Marquette, and kind of born and raised in Milwaukee. So, UWM grad. As I was kind of ending my collegiate career, I started to pursue opportunities in sports. I joke around. I applied for an internship with Milwaukee Brewers, and this USGA boat ride internship thing that had different placements throughout the country. I got the offer sheet for the Brewers, which was an unpaid internship, which I couldn't afford to take. And I got this other one in this golf thing, and I did the golf thing. And it's literally it's all, again, blessing, but were the great decisions and things in my life. So I am very, very proud and lucky to have been a USGA boat ride intern. It's a grant that the USGA does afford state and regional golf associations throughout the country, and the rest is history. So 2001, I was an intern. Came out here with lots of energy, lots of excitement. I thought I was out here running, the U.S. Open, and just so excited, and it was really love it at first sight. So again, a sports background. I was a full athlete, and it became clear to me that I wasn't going to be a professional football player, baseball player. So I turned pro at something else, and that was golf administration. And at the MGA, it's just an incredible company. I do have family ties. I am second generation. So my grandfather was a former volunteer for over 40 years and an employee post his retirement. So he was a big part of encouraging me to pursue an internship on the East Coast and kind of cut my teeth in rules and competitions. And for the first 8 years of my life, that was what I did for 70, 80 hours a week. And very lucky to be, accomplished and distinguished in the rules of golf. I've been on rules committees for the U.S. Open, the U.S. Amateur, the Walker Cup. I have traveled nationally, domestically abroad. So just wonderful experiences. And because of two, just incredible mentors, I know I'm fortunate enough to be, the CEO. So a part of my strength is on, from the bottom to the top. Right? So I've got a lot of different points of view. I've done 7 different jobs within this organization. Right, you get a full-time equivalent of 44 people. So I've done, a good percentage of people's jobs before them. And what a great benefit for me, just from a lifestyle and personal perspective, to really be raised in golf in the mid area. In Mike and Ryan, before you shared how great golf is in the Garden State and in the Northeast, and it truly is a privilege to work in this area, work for the MGA, an institution that's been around for a long time, but to whom much is given, much is required, and we take that responsibility seriously. And we're focused on opportunity and growth and introducing people to this great game that we're all addicts of. So, probably long-winded, but that's who I am, and that's how I got here. And it's a big deal to me. I take it very seriously. I look at my job as casually serious, but I'm proud to lead one of the greatest organizations in the game.
I like that, casually serious. I like how that's
Yeah,
worded.
yeah, yeah.
I want to go back to kind of the start there and ask you. This is probably a deeper question, but how did your parents handle you not going to Marquette?
Yeah, well, there's a lot of controversy there. I'm the oldest of 4, and Ryan, I would just share that financially we weren't ready to break ground with the first. But I've got aunts, mother, dad, in-laws, all Marquette. But yeah, I'm an outlier, and I turned out okay.
Wow. Oh yeah, you did. So I'm actually my dad's from outside Chicago. So him and his brothers all went to University of Illinois. My grandfather went to University of Illinois. And I grew up in Jersey, but the first male culotte not to go to University of Illinois.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Spouse is from Chicago, so I'm sure we can talk offline.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, a lot of good Midwest stories and great golf in the Midwest as well. Our way.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And obviously, speaking about like the MGA, to
Yeah.
me, like I always value good golf courses, like the history of everything. And I truly think that, like, when it comes to your events, you guys always find the cream of the crop. And I think that's the one differentiation between your association and your organization than any of the others. And it's not saying that others don't get good venues or good tracks, but we all know in life there's levels. Okay. There's tiers. You guys always find what I think is the cream of the crop. How does the process go for someone like you to attain these type of spots, these venues?
Mike, I'll just share a little perspective, right? First off, we've had an over 125-year head start, right? So you think of years of tradition, relationships. Secondly, I just give you some demo in terms of the metropolitan jurisdiction. 160,000 members, individual members, over 500 member clubs. And if you just look at the tradition, the culture, architecture in this area, aren't we so lucky to play golf and really like the home of golf in the
Absolutely.
United States? So I think that's a big part of it. And when I speak to culture at these clubs, championships, elite golf, truly playing pristine conditions at the highest level is really important to these facilities and these member clubs. And for those reasons, they get jazzed and enthusiastic about supporting the game at so many levels. And again, one of the things the MGA, I think, has a wonderful and very proud reputation to represent the Shinnecocks and the Baltusrolls and the Wingfoots of the world. But there are, again, many different courses and in many different shapes and sizes. So while we're known for the Met Amateur or the Ike and the Met Open, which are, these are 100-year-old events that are a part of the fabric of golf's history. We offer net events and 20 different championships, boys, girls, men, women, seniors. It's a full complement. And at the end of the day, it is a little bit of a two-way street. So you have clubs that are enthusiastic and want to support select events. I'll pick on Shinnecock. Shinnecock has become so synonymous with the U.S. Open. They feel that they are a U.S. Open host, and that's what they want to focus on. We have other clubs that feel a little bit differently about maybe giving back or rotationally taking on a women's championship, but also doing a father and son event that allows for access and those kind of hit and giggle experiences. So this area, the MGA absolutely benefits from the passion that the clubs and the culture the clubs have for giving back, for supporting high-end competitions, but also supporting golfers and the golf fraternity, right? Sharing these great, wonderful places that they have with the community. And again, we benefit from that. And Mike and Ryan, I would jokingly say, to that point, when you look at the MGA's annual championship calendar, and this is not cocky, you'll take that calendar and the venues that we're playing on an annual basis and put them up against anybody, USGA included. It is just what a wonderful thing to be a golfer in the New York metropolitan area.
Yeah, it's just what's the phrase? It's a wealth of riches or whatever it really is. Like you can go play course after course. You could go 10 years in between playing Oakmont and Shinnecock and still play top level courses year after year after year after year without double dipping or without going back to the well too often.
Sure.
And it's wild to have. Mike and I say it all the time.
It's like the who's who. It's really the who's who of golf courses here in the Northeast. And I know that it's not just in New Jersey, but it extends to Connecticut and New York as well. And obviously within like the MGA, I do know that like the association's, starting to put out some newer programs, specifically like in the adapted golf initiative and other areas. Why don't you talk about some of the new things that the MGA is coming?
Yeah, and thanks for this opportunity. At the end of the day, I think two things that are really important to us is opportunity and access. That's a part of our charter, and kind of under that umbrella. Just about a year ago, the association went through some good organizational hygiene and sat down with our leaders and developed a strategic plan to really guide us for the next 3 to 5 years. And one of the things that was unveiled as a part of that exercise was really thinking about diversity, opportunity, and inclusion in a more intentional way. And as a part of that, an initiative was to develop kind of an adaptive program. If you just look at some of the National Golf Foundation's data and just specifically to the Northeast, they identify upwards of 6 million individuals that fall into one of those kind of 8 categories that the USGA identifies, from mental disabilities to physical and kind of everything in between. And we felt that was a wonderful opportunity for the MGA to start getting involved, kind of the wide end of the funnel, to be able to interface with people that might not otherwise know how to or have access to, or might have issues that they want to, but they don't have the equipment that they need to. So 2024 is a year where we did launch our intent to start to continue to invest in other areas, including adaptive, to make this game welcoming to so many. So the USGA has an adaptive Open Championship that is 2 years old now. For those that have watched or witnessed, what an incredible thing that is. This is that and more. So while I appreciate those one percenters that can play golf at a real high level, this is about all golfers in the adaptive community. That their journey might end at the range. Their journey might be in a golf simulator, right? That might be the way that they can engage in the game, all the way to the player development of these individuals that can truly compete and shoot scores that would kick all of our butts. I mean, it's really awesome. So what you'll see from the MGA is to continue to kind of work and examine on what it could be. We are going to be dabbling with some beta kind of programs and clinics throughout 24. And the other big part that we're obviously so privileged and proud to participate is this year the USGA will be allowing for qualifiers for their adaptive national championship, and we will be one of the 6 associations participating in that. That's going to be in New Jersey in Hallworth in April, and our team is so excited to do this. It's going to be different, right? These things are challenging. We're going to have more porta johns on the property that have wheelchair access than we've ever had before. It's all these things that it's devil's in the details, but it's all things that we feel really good about and excited about, and we're really looking forward to that journey.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think that's a great thing to get into, because I think when you're talking about
100%.
like growing the game of golf, like sometimes adaptive can get left out of that. And I think the USGA has made a very good push with starting it at Pinehurst. Like they had the national championship there, then they moved, now they're going to Colorado this year. So like it is kind of like a good thing, I think, in a lot of respects. And it's nice to see big, well-known associations like yours being like, you know what, we're gonna make this work too. So that's kudos to you guys and your crew over there.
I kind of want to ask you about the MGA. Are you guys the biggest or have the most clubs under your umbrella? Is it one of the oldest? I'd imagine it's got to be one of the oldest in the country. So again, you
It's
guys,
the nation's oldest, isn't it?
that's the country, the nation. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I think it is. Like
Yeah.
I think it
Tomato,
definitely is.
tomato, whatever. But Ryan, when you look at the country, yes. So our birth date, the 1897. There is an association, the Golf Association of Philadelphia, that was conceived 2 months earlier than us, same birth year. So yes, again, we have the good fortune of being one of the older. In terms of our representation, yes, it's one of the larger. Others that would kind of be in the same category or peer group as us is Florida, much larger real estate, lots of properties, Texas, and then California.
Right.
So those are kind of the groups that we look to. But if you think of again the geography, it's actually very tight, and it's incredible when you do your Google Earth map and you look at this area. You look at New Jersey, and it's like one course after the other, and they're tucked in places people didn't even know they're there. And to your earlier point, they're places you haven't heard of, but if you played them, you'd be like, "This is the greatest golf course I've ever played."
Yeah.
I mean, truly, it's one after another. So, yes, yeah, we are one of the larger groups. Definitely more dynamic, a lot of different programming, well beyond adaptive and championships, but well-oiled machine for sure.
So going to that point, I would imagine that other sections around the country are looking at you guys and seeing what you do, being that you're one of the oldest, one of the largest, one of the more pristine, and hopefully more will follow suit as you guys are implementing this, and then hopefully it'll again kind of trickle down into the other sections throughout the country. I would hope that would grow as well.
Yeah, I think we have been viewed by others as thought leaders. We also learn quite a bit from our peers. There's just wonderful collaboration coast to coast with all organizations, kind of in our category, and many examples of collaboration. But adaptive, I would just say that as a kind of area of focus is probably going to be one of the most booming nationwide. I mean, so many associations, and when you talk to the staff, I mean, there's this, it just pulls on your heartstrings. It's just such awesome stuff. So I think the country as a trend will see far more programming, more alignment with pre-existing entities that have community, but what they don't have the wherewithal to kind of connect them to this game. So definitely an emerging trend, not only in this area, and we're happy to be on the early adopter side of this, but we're looking to Georgia and and in Ohio and in others that have mature programs, and learning quite a bit from them in terms of what have they learned in their journey, and how we, how can we grow as a result.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, definitely, it's great. And then obviously, when you look like to the 2024 calendar, obviously, I'm a big golf nerd, and a few weeks ago we had Shane Bacon on, and I told him how I watched the show, and I was, I had known and heard through the grapevine that one of the events was coming down here, and I think again, when I speak into your venues and your courses, like I look at that and I get it. You have to qualify and you got to get through some tough venues to get to these spots. Don't get me wrong. And that's no easy task in itself. So, but if you were fortunate to get to these spots, like these venues are legit second to none. And two of the majors obviously being home here in New Jersey with Somerset Hills that, our recent guest, Chris Hunt, spoke so highly about, said probably was his favorite golf course that he's ever played. And then coming down at the in the middle of October to Manasquan River, like talk about like the championship sites this year for the organization.
Yeah, I mean, again, just focused on the Garden State, bringing our oldest championship, our Met Amateur, the third oldest amateur in the country behind the Western Am and the US Am, to Somerset Hills. And again, for those that haven't played Somerset, you want to. For those that have, you want to go back, and you do feel it's almost like a time warp. And I, like Chris, it definitely falls towards the top of my bucket list, and just the great places to be at. Just a wonderful journey, very two contrasting nines, great challenge. The mid amateur for us is one of the most difficult tests of golf that we offer. Qualifying is from many to very few. Advancing to on-site qualifying, and then it's kind of match play till we identify a champion. And just if you look at the last like 10 years of champions, six of which I think kind of are New Jersey natives, people like the Jack Walls and the Gotterups of the world. So it's pretty elite golfers. Stuart Hagestad is past guest, and he's lucky enough to have his name on that trophy. So it's a Met area who's who. It is a great test. What a great accomplishment to advance, but what a great experience to play Somerset Hills as that prize, depending on how many rounds of golf you get to play and how long you last, that sort of thing. So yeah, 122nd Met Amateur is definitely one of the events that we have circled on the calendar. And the other, we'll call that kind of in the middle of the heart of the season, but as the season wraps up, our mid amateur, which is in the MJ sense, the new puppy, right? 18 years old, the youngin. That is invitational based. It was created by my predecessor as kind of a tournament of champions. Invitations is not predicated on if Brian Mahoney likes you or dislikes you. It's really based on playing criteria. It's very unique, Al. So the Masters, they have, did you do this or did you not do this? And this was created very similarly, but going to Manasquan to kind of close out the year. That event has been integral in identifying our player of the year, as many of the last few years, whether it's Mark Costanza or Brad Tilley, recent winners. They're in the hunt, and this tends to be towards the tail end of the schedule, and ultimately not only identifying the best mid-am in the Met area, but potentially impactful in terms of player of the year, which is another wonderful prize and feather in the cap of these elite players in the country.
Yeah, I still to this day think that we have in this area the best mid-ams in the country. I think when the two of them ones you just named right now, in terms of, Brad and Mark we've been lucky to get both of them on the show, and Mark was telling us this year about how it came down legitimately to the end of the year in that final tournament, and clipping out Brad to pass Christian, like it was like it truly is from top to bottom some of the most unbelievable mid-ams I truly think in the country. But I think before I even get into like those two tournaments specifically, in terms of like a person who may not understand the geography of the MGA and where it starts to where it ends, and may wonder why like my course way down in South Jersey is not included, or maybe even like Western New Jersey, like why don't you give the audience a little bit of a geography lesson to like where the MGA covers?
Yeah. So
Or even some of the hosts on this show might need a geography lesson.
yeah,
You I know Mike's asked me this before, and I've tried to give him that geography, but he's just not getting it.
I always joke around. It's a little bit of like how we colonized in the Northeast, right? So the initial charter was kind of a pin drop in Manhattan, and then it was a little bit of a kind of a 60 to 90 mile radius. Ultimately, it's inclusive of all of the state of New Jersey, Fairfield County in Connecticut, and then kind of the Long Island, getting into Westchester, and then some of the the Orange and Hudson Valley counties into New York. So we are categorized as a regional association, so representing the best interests of golfers in three different states. But yeah, that's again, that's our charter. That's how we're defined. So people that are clubs that are in those areas are welcome to be members and to receive the benefits that comes along with that, educational opportunity and otherwise. And we're very lucky that many of which they're eligible have chosen to subscribe.
So to that point, like how many clubs then wouldn't or don't subscribe? I don't know if you do know that, and why wouldn't they? It seems like the membership the benefits would outweigh any kind of negatives. What have you heard? What those might be?
Yeah, Ryan. It's the great majority are members of the association, and I think just maybe in the state of New Jersey, it's a little bit unique because of other associations that do exist. So a little bit of duplicative services. We do have many multiple member clubs in Connecticut and in New Jersey for all the reasons you described. It's about access, it's about opportunity, it's value add. And then it tends to be more of a practical issue. So I think that the clubs that are not are kind of southern New Jersey. So it's just where are the members, where the vast majority of activities, what's that driving distance and proximity? And it tends to be more of a practical issue versus a value proposition.
Okay, so someone from like Cape May County, they're not going to play in the up in Connecticut for their for a tournament. It makes it tough for them to get up there. I can get that.
I think the membership tends to evaluate, where are the opportunities, where are our people, and does that make sense? That said, I mean, who in Connecticut wouldn't drive down to Somerset Hills if they qualified for the Met Amateur to go play?
Right.
And I think that America tends to travel a little bit more, so that that tends to be lesser of an issue. So we are seeing more clubs support golf at many different levels. And I hate to kind of get on the soapbox, but at the end of the day, joining associations like the MJ is really supporting entities that do power and protect the game, right? Promote, preserve, and protect the game's best interest. Obviously, we have our own proprietary products like championships and education and apps and magazines, etc. But at the end of the day, many feel strongly about supporting the game and the things that we do for juniors, for adaptive golf, for caddy scholars and other things that are, make people feel pretty good to be affiliated with this game.
Yeah, I think that's something that sometimes gets lost in translation in terms of like what goes on within the association and the give backs, because I think we all see the championships, we see the big names of like Mark and Brad and Stu Hagestad, you see it, but then you kind of lose focus in terms of like what the association kind of stands for and the give backs, the caddies, all the member golf days. And I know that's another thing that you guys do and offer. And I think that's something for like members at these clubs that could have the opportunity to go sign up for one of these days. I think that's another thing that kind of gets lost because we see the big picture and we sometimes, like you say, don't dive into the details. Like talk a little bit about the member golf days that you guys have.
Yeah. Again, just going back into the umbrella of like opportunity and access. So all of the events are eligible for member participation. That private, public, we don't differentiate. Obviously, we do have some public championships. Those are for men and women exclusively. But play days, yeah, we have a program that offers between 8 and 12 on a calendar year, spread out throughout the area. They're less kind of competitive focused. It's really more about access, and hopefully the social community part of it. Providing great value, getting them access, getting an organized day where they know they're going to be on the golf course for 4 hours and 15 minutes, not 6 hours, 6.5 hours. And again, those are open to all. We don't have handicap requirements for them. They simply must be members of the association, and we just get awesome participation from men and women doing those sorts of things. It's more about meeting new friends, the fraternity of golf, versus the I'm the best golfer at my club or in my area. I'm going to go kicking butt. So those have been a wonderful addition to kind of our portfolio over the last 20 years.
Yeah, as someone like me who's not, Mike's a very good golfer, plays competitively. I knock it around. I'm a 10, 11 handicap, and depending on the time of year, it can be, higher or very rarely is it lower. Actually, I ended one season as a 9.9. It's the lowest I got one time. But I don't necessarily qualify it as single digit. But yeah, I single digit a Jace, I guess. But my point is, I love those member golf days because there's nothing that I can really compete in, quote unquote. Like I don't have under a 5 handicap to do any of the kind of qualifiers. I can't do anything else really. Because my handicap's so high, it caps also the team stuff, where you can't have more than a 7 handicap. The team can't be more than 12, whatever the case is. So I love those member golf days and gotten to play in a few of those over the years since those have been going on. And again, it makes it, even though it's not competitive, like you said, it brings that tournament kind of atmosphere. So a guy like myself can do exactly that. I can have some competition. I can see a leaderboard. I can meet some new people, get some new friends, all the stuff that you said, but also get to experience a little bit of what those top level guys are experiencing. I absolutely love those member golf days. I try to do at least one a year because they're really, really good.
I'll be looking for your registration this year, and hopefully you'll find in a couple of them.
Yeah.
I think you said it so well, right? I think we service all golf. And we do think of all shapes and sizes, right? So if you just look at kind of the 20 championships that we do offer, half of them are kind of team-based or net-based, because we do want to contemplate, a lower handicap and a high handicap getting together and playing in a mixed Pinehurst or a parent-child or a father and son or team events, 4-bowl events. It's important to be able to have kind of all those menu offerings. Because at the end of the day, we want to provide a service to all golfers, not just that 1%, the Stews, the Brad, the Marks. And again, nothing taking away from the incredible traditions of those championships, but we have 160,000 members, right? Not all of them are single digits. So again, just being cognizant of that, and there are so many different wonderful opportunities, and especially we're expanding the opportunities in the golfer attainment space. So I would just offer to the two of you that, this year we did launch kind of a virtual event that is, with our partners in Golf Zone, where people are playing in a group setting, but they're doing it in a simulator. And I think what golf data has told us in terms of this golfer onboarding journey is, simulator golf and non-traditional golf is just an awesome entree into learning more about the game. Historically, filibusters has always been, cost or fear of cost, time, and then embarrassment. And we would love to be able to eliminate some of those sorts of things by providing affordable access, doing it in a safe area where you're not afraid you're going to shank your tee shot on the first hole and murder murder another golfer. If I shake that thing in that simulator box, nobody even cares. I hopefully ricochet it hard enough to end up in the virtual fairway. So again, thinking about different consumer experiences, and again, golf attainment is something that I think we've all seen has grown exponentially, really post COVID, and it's something that the MGA is thinking very carefully and strategically about.
It's so funny you mentioned that because I just did that this weekend. I played in a skins game through TrackMan, and it was like open to anyone that wanted to play on Sunday. Was it like a skins TrackMan? It was really, really pretty cool. It played the Hinge, which so like again, not a course I'm easily access to with a buddy that I wanted to play with, but you got virtual people playing all over. It was really, really cool. Yeah. It's good. Yeah, and again, in this post-COVID world, it's brought up some interesting new things.
Brian, what's your game like?
My game is like a box of chocolates. So I've had my athletic best. I'm a 2. I hover in the 4 range. I have days where people accuse me of manipulating a handicap, and other days that people are shocked and allowed to work in the game of golf. So it's everything in between, but that's the best part, and that's why I've really fallen in love with the game of golf. Is it's unique individual challenge, the challenge that every day that Mother Nature presents, the challenge that that golf course and that topography presents, and it's that one or two really spectacular shots that feel like it's all coming together, baby, and it keeps me coming back. So
Yep.
I'm under the attitude of play when I can and can't wait till the next time I get a chance to play.
Does a guy like you ever, I don't even know if would you entertain the idea of qualifying for one of your own events, or is that not even allowed? Or do
Yeah,
you,
Mike, it is allowed. I have early in my career, I did participate a little bit just because, and again, the experience of playing something when it matters, when the whistle blows, it's different. Ryan, you spoke to a little bit with these member play days. It's just different than when we just tee it up casually with our buds and that sort of thing. But the competitive, you learn a lot about yourself, right? You figure out what you're good at, what you're not good at, how quickly you can recover and handle those sorts of things. So I did enjoy that. I would say that I find, given my role, it's better that I spend my time doing some other things. I will participate in member guests and those type of social competitions, but I'm not competitive. I would just be an entry donation, to be honest with you. But I am allowed, and for those that care about winning, they'd love to have me in the field because they know I wouldn't.
Where's can you answer where's your home course?
Yeah, I'm very fortunate. I live in Connecticut. I play my golf at the Sandwich Club, and
Okay.
so wife, two kids. Very very fortunate. Just incredible facility. One of the great courses in Connecticut and the area. Yeah, so really really blessed to be a member at Sandwich.
That's one of those where, like, I feel like people from New Jersey haven't heard that much about it. I know Mike and I in this space, we've heard rumblings. I don't know a ton about it, but I know that it has a phenomenal reputation. So
It is a tremendous test of golf, and when you look at our schedule, again, we've been very fortunate to partner with Stanwich to conduct what we call the Farrell, which honors the club's first ever head professional, Billy Farrell. It's a international invitation that is very unique in the U.S. in that it's boys and girls playing in their divisions on the same golf course on the same day, and we're entering into year three, and just thrilled to partner with my home club. And obviously I was a conduit and kind of a facilitator of that relationship, but it's cool things like that are happening in the Met area that you know great golfers get to experience. How lucky are we?
now obviously I know I'm obviously envious of all the spots that you play, nonetheless the one you play all the time for home. But one of the things I always like to ask the guests is this: is knowing that you've played so many unbelievable tracks, and I'll kind of even broaden the scope here for you to like the Northeast, because typically for us, I like to know like where people recommend in New Jersey. But you being someone that I know that it's kind of been able to dabble in a lot of spots, if someone were to be invited to one spot, and I'm not letting you count Stanwich because that's home, and you can't count Pine Valley because the odds that someone gets an invite there are sometimes slim to none. Where's the one spot if someone got invited to, you'd say, listen, you got to stop, drop whatever you're doing, and you got to go take that person up on the invite?
Yeah, so Mike, you might get me fired by me picking my favorite child here, but I will entertain this. I will preface this with I am very fortunate that in my 23-year career, I have played the top courses in the country. I've been very blessed to play the top courses in the area. Clubs that come to mind that are on kind of my top 10 list, places like National Golf Links of America, Fisher's Island, places in New Jersey that I absolutely just adore. Plainfield, Arcola. These are places that I think when people walk away, they are like, wow, that was whatever expectations were. It always exceeds expectations. And again, the list can go on but those are some that top of mind. I think about when I think of mid area courses that I enjoy playing.
Yeah, we went to Arcola, Ryan and I. We interviewed Chris DeJean up there, and we got to go experience that. And we left there like, holy hell, that place just absolutely chewed us up, spit us out, and kicked us to the curb with how bad we played that day. But if you asked me if I could go back, I would go in a heartbeat, because
100
even
times.
even when I parked my car and I just saw the city as the sun was rising, was like, wow, this is so damn good.
You probably had 40 plus putts, and you can't wait to play there again.
Spot on.
Yeah.
There was 2 pluses next to mine, 40 plus. Yeah, for sure. That's quite a list there, because someone like you has such a again, you've been doing it for long enough, and you've had such a wide range to be able to that again, locking you into one. I'm glad you put a top 10, little top 10 to Jace there. It's good.
Yeah, there's a couple, and I would mention that I do have a published top 10, so I am referencing data that's out there. So I'm not. But again, the Shinnecock's of the world, the Wingfoots. I mean, they are just they're special. For those that have the privilege of access, good for them. For those that get those invitations, take them seriously, because they're few and far between. And when you get there, again, I think it always exceeds expectations.
Mike, did you see the Met Am webpage? You see whose picture's on there? Chris, Mark, and Pat.
Yeah.
So those are 3 of our guys.
Yeah.
Brian, as someone who does play, again, a wealth of golf like you do, is there anything that you do habits-wise that is quirky or something like that? I think golfers are kind of quirky by nature. Like, we have our little like superstitions. And Stu Hagestad corrected me and said they're not superstitions, they're habits. So I've tried rewording the question, but is there anything you do when you're playing that you do and you're like, this is what keeps my chi level, or if you want to call it that?
Yeah, it's I do like, and I've spent so much time with Stu. I was going to correct you with the habit line. He's giving me that speech too. For me, I did have kind of a baseball background. I did like players like Nomar Garcia who had to adjust his batting gloves, 450 times before he for me personally, and for me, marking my golf ball is somewhat of a religious experience. Similarly, I just a little bit of the OCD of Brian Mahoney is every time after I play, I cleanse my clubs by washing them. It's to get all the bad shots, the demons off of them. So I give them a fair shot the next time. The biggest thing, and all my friends would joke, every time you guys play with me, I probably have a new putter. I am a tinkerer. I do love putter technology. I have good putting days. I have days where I putt like a donkey, and I just and I've always operated under the philosophy that if I can scare the good putter, knowing that they could be taken out of the bag at any time, one better. I don't know if it's worked, but that's been my attitude. It's like that pre-pep talk, right? It's fear. It's leading with fear.
Yeah.
Leading with fear. But that's, I think some of those things, again, I am very intentional in marking the ball, and again, some of that comes from past experiences on the championship side where I've seen horrific penalties in silly situations where it could have easily been prevented by putting a unique mark on your ball, and now you're not hitting wrong balls, those sorts of things. But yeah, the punter history. I have more punters than you can name in my den.
Speaking about that, I guess now you got me intrigued. This interview might last another 45 minutes. But how long is the longest a putter has stayed in the bag? Like, how long have you two stayed friends?
Well, hold on. You did say there is a good putter. He uses bad putters to scare the good putters. So you do have one you putt well with.
Yeah. This part of the.
But why does that one get kicked out then?
This part of the podcast is where the ratings are going to explode. So I'll have a putter. I have a putter that I refer to as my broth. So I have a Terulium Scotty Cameron that's older than all of us, that when things get weird, it gets put into the bag to get things right. It's a fairly weighted blade. It feels like golf 150 years ago. So that's a little bit of the good putter. And on the best putting days, that thing can work magic, but it's not sustainable. So it has to come out. It can't stay in. I have found in my elder years, and again, golf is so simple, guys, right? It's distance and direction. Like, how are we not all on tour? It's so simple. But some of the mallet technology, we have the MJ has a wonderful relationship with our friends at Callaway, and they've produced, Odyssey has done incredible things, and I've really benefited from a bunch of their newer kind of, the 10 and some of those other mallet models. So I really like tinkering with those in different putter faces. I tend to be kind of a softer face, like marshmallow face putter person. And again, playing on golf courses that tend to have Arcola-like greens that are, rolling at a 95 and rock hard. Putters are really important if you're going to have any kind of decent score. And putting, we all know this. Again, everyone's read every book on the shelf. It's such a mental thing. So if I start to lose confidence in a putter for one reason or another, I need to get it out of there. Otherwise, it could be like scarlet letter territory where it no longer exists in my world.
I love that. I have a 10 as well. I absolutely love it. But I come from a basketball background, so I'm under the mindset of you shoot your way out of shooting slumps. So if I'm not putting well, I'm just gonna have to work through it, and I'm gonna have to putt my way out of it. So I go the opposite way, but I love I can't argue the logic.
No. When you have that many in the arsenal, that's kind of why I said, you know what, I'll switch my grip because I only have one putter. So this thing has to work. So we'll switch this grip to that grip. But when you got an array of options, things can get dicey.
Grips are the same thing, guys, right? I mean, dabbling with grips. So again, I love tinkering. I love that element of the game of golf that we could have this bag that's really custom to the things that we need. To me, I think it's what separates golf from a competitive perspective. But grips and putters, and sometimes it's fun just to see a new toy and look down on it. I'm a golf addict as well as a golf administrator, so it is nice to play with new shiny toys. But when you play with me, if you play with me more than once, just take a look at the putter, see if it's familiar.
We'll have to make that happen. Brian, this was awesome. Thank you so much for coming on. I think Mike and I could talk to you again for another hour and a half if we needed to, but this was awesome. Someone of your magnitude and your stature and your holdings in the game of golf, just to give us a few minutes is unbelievable. So really, really appreciate your time and sitting down with us here.
Oh, again, my pleasure. Thank you guys for talking golf and supporting the game. What you do is meaningful, and do appreciate all that you do.
Thanks, Brian.
All right. Take care.
You're welcome.